Today is Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024. I am Byron Lazine, and the hot sheet starts now. On today's hot sheet, I'm discussing newly built apartments, the Rent Affordability Act, or GAP, not Rent Affordability Act, the GAP, and as well as diverging housing markets as it relates to inventory. Let me know in the live chat which market you're tuning in from today. I'm coming live from my Connecticut studio. Make sure you hit the thumbs up and share this video with somebody who wants a 24-hour look back on all things housing. We do this show every single Monday through Thursday that the markets are open. This Thursday, we won't have the show, of course. It's the 4th of July holiday. I hope many of you have plans to enjoy it. But every single Monday through Thursday that the markets are open, we do the show 9:30 live on the East Coast, 6:30 on the West, as soon as those markets do open up. And we talk about whatever it is the last 24 hours is most important in the housing market. So share this. Let people know, hey, hot sheet's something that you should start your day with, or at least get the replay. You can get the replay on Spotify and Apple. I'd love for you to consider jumping over there and leaving us a review, 5-star preferable, on Apple or Spotify. Spotify makes it real easy. You can just hit the review and be done in a second. All right. Diverging housing markets. Okay, this is analysis done by Resi Club here, and breaks down the 50, there are 100 markets, 50 below and 50 above pre-pandemic inventory levels. Imagine that. We just went over inventory yesterday across the country, but imagine that. There are 50 major markets across the country right now that are above pre-pandemic inventory levels. If you talk to an agent the last 24 months, you would have thought this day would never come. Agents get stuck too often in what's in front of them in the moment. Oh my gosh, there's 20 offers on this property. We will never have enough inventory. Yet 50 of the major metros are seeing inventory above pre-pandemic levels. That means above 2019, which was a pretty normal market. A normal market, you see, 6 months of inventory, give or take. Redfin likes to use 5. I've always been taught on 6. Might be closer to 5 now with where we are overall on inventory, where you have a buyer and a seller stalemate, okay, where you've got a more normal market where neither have the advantage. I guess you could argue 2019 was probably more of a seller's market in most markets, but it certainly felt more normal. It acted more normal than any of the 4 to 5 years preceding it. And right now we have markets that are above that inventory level. Okay. There are housing markets obviously below pre-pandemic levels, but there are many above. Okay. Let's take a look. Okay. Let's take a look at the markets above and below. I've got a chart here, and this will be available for everybody inside of BAMX. You can grab this. We line everything up from the hot sheet, the show notes, available easily for you inside of your hot sheet, inside of BAMX, where you can get all your hot sheet show notes and all of the charts. Use code HOT to get BAMX today. Okay. Now, active inventory shift in America's 800 largest metro area housing markets. You see here the 5-year run. You've got a whole bunch of markets in Illinois, Connecticut, making up the top handful of markets where you see a change in inventory from pre-pandemic. Hartford, Connecticut on the list there, 80% negative on inventory. You've got Bennington, Vermont, 81%, 82%. Pontiac, Illinois, 83% negative. Less inventory than pre-pandemic levels, okay? Now, there are markets like these here in front of you, and there are a number of them, that actually have inventory above pre-pandemic levels, above 2019 levels. Clewiston, Florida, 150% up. Sevierville, Tennessee, 116%. Pueblo, Colorado, 100% up. Ellingsburg, Washington, 87%. Sulphur Springs, Texas, 86%. Boneham, Texas, 82%. Okay. A lot of Texas on the list. Gainesville, Texas, Granbury, Texas, Temple. A lot of Florida on the list. Panama City, Punta Gorda at 60% up over the last 5 years. Okay. Tennessee, Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Idaho. These are the markets where you're seeing inventory up the most. If I'm in one of those markets, if I'm advising people, if I'm an agent representing someone's best interests, I need to have different conversations right now. To sell a property in 2 weeks is much different than selling a property 12 months ago there. I need to position the conversation. When you have more inventory than you did in 2019, I can promise you prices are going to go down in a significant and meaningful way in those markets. So how much ahead of the curve do I want to be? If I price at where the comps are, that becomes aspirational pricing. That's pricing from yesteryears. That's not reality today. If I'm pricing where the comps are, that's rear view mirror. You're not going to get that in a market like Pueblo, Colorado. You're not going to get comp prices in Clewiston, Florida, where there's 150% more inventory than there was 5 years ago. You're not getting it in Gainesville, Texas, where we're up 66% inventory. Just because something sold 30 days ago, that price was set 90 to 100 days ago when a buyer and a seller contracted for that price. Inventory has done nothing but go up. You're not getting that price. So you actually have to go below, which you would normally say is to create a competitive environment. It's just to create interest now. How much further down do you want to go to actually get the property sold based on timeline? That's going to have a lot to do with it. Okay. If we go down the list, there are a number of homes. I'll reset this here to metro size. Okay. I'll reset this to I'll reset this to metro size, and well, you know what? I'll go back to the 5-year and let's just go through the list. There are far more. I'll show you here on the screen if you're watching. There are far more homes. Just look at the scroll. This is 800 of the largest metros. There are far more homes across the country that are still today less inventory than pre-pandemic levels. But look how many are getting very close. In the low teens, in the single digits now that are catching up. And as every month goes by, more are going to be added to this side of the list. 30% more, 40% more, 50% more. See, there are far fewer homes that are over. There are 50 plus of them across the country, major metros, that are over pre-pandemic levels. But the number is going to be 100 pretty soon. The number is going to be 150 pretty soon. It's going to keep swinging in that direction. And depending on where you are, if you're at the top of this list where you're still experiencing 80% less inventory, you've got time. You can price a property, have a competitive environment. If you're in Asheville, North Carolina, you still have 50% less inventory than you did in 2019. Okay. But if you're in Columbus or El Paso, Texas, that'll be a better example. If you're in El Paso, Texas, different from the rest of Texas, you're only 3% less inventory than pre-pandemic levels. So you're kind of at 2019 on inventory. But when you look at the rest of your state, that could turn to 30% very quickly. Jacksonville still has 5% less homes now than pre-pandemic, but the story there is going to change quickly. It'll be in the pluses based off of what the rest of the state is doing. So being able to analyze what's coming is part of the agent's job. You're representing this person. Okay? You're educating them. Where do you think prices are going to go? I'm thinking about selling, but I'm waiting for the rates to come down. Are you also waiting for the value of your house to come down? Well, that's not going to happen. That's not going to. We're at record pricing and nobody's selling their house for less. We'll all just stay in our homes. Oh, really? What's your experience been with home prices when inventory goes up? Because there's a segment of the market that always says sell no matter what their interest rate is. No matter how much they love that rate. What's your experience been with home prices in a high inventory market? I know what my experience has been. I remember 2010, 11, 12. I know how hard it is for those that really want to sell to get the job done, how much they struggle doing it. Okay. You can play around with that interactive chart. There's 800. We'll have that linked up for you inside of BAMX. Use code HOT to make sure that you get a discount on BAMX if you're not in there today. By the way, BAMX, every single month, including yesterday, the start of the month, we release a new course. We've got the Facebook community. You get the show notes from the hot sheet every single day. These show notes are the most robust show notes you could ever find. So many BAMX members are using this inside of their content, their database, their text message, emails, all of that. And then every Friday you get BAMX in a box done for you, social templates, email, blog, and video scripts, all done for you. I mean, BAMX is got so much there. It is your marketing arm. It is your training arm for a fraction of what you would pay anywhere else. And the value exceeds what anybody expects. And I appreciate everybody that's in it and giving us all that great feedback. So thank you guys very much. Wrapping up the inventory. If we go into some of these regional areas, Northeast, Midwest, the low levels of supply mean resale and existing home sales remain a primary option. You don't have a lot of building there, obviously, in the Northeast, that is. Inventory in many markets around the Gulf have climbed back above pre-pandemic levels, and they have also greater levels of new construction. National active listings rose 35% between May 23 and May 2024. Those nationally active listings still 33% below 2019 levels. So when we say diverging markets, or when Resi Club says diverging markets, you've got some markets that are 40% above, 20% above pre-pandemic levels, about 50 of them across the country, numbers growing every day, versus a whole bunch that are still, commonly 20 to 40% below pre-pandemic levels. Okay. Understand where your market's heading. If you're in the low digits, the teens, still below pre-pandemic levels, your day is coming sooner than other markets. And you need to get ahead of the curve in those conversations with homeowners and people who are thinking price strategy right now. Okay. Moving on. Newly built apartments. This is something else that if it's happening in your market, it's going to impact home prices. The more inventory on a rentals that comes into a market, the more buyers have the option to just say, you know what, I'll go lease for another 12 months because it's much cheaper month to month than it is to buy until those prices come down. This will be something that pushes prices down because it'll push for sale inventory up. Days of market, the longer that takes, the more you'll start to see prices coming down. Newly built U.S. apartments are filling up at the slowest pace now since 2020. Okay, filling up, which means they're going to have to get competitive with their pricing. Jerome, who's going to be speaking today, Powell, I hope you're listening. Okay, only 47% of rented within 3 months of completion. That's down from 60% a year earlier. So this is new apartment buildings. 47% within the first 3 months, as opposed to what was filling up at 60%. Okay. New apartments filling up at the slowest pace since 2020. This will have ripple effects. I love the ripple effects that it will have. If you own, a lot of 2 to 3 to 4 unit buildings in markets where they're building a lot of this new product, that's unfortunate for you. I feel bad for you, obviously. But trust me, I'm rooting for the abundance of inventory here to push rental costs down even further, because then eventually it'll show up in the CPI data. This is another data point that I would hope that the FOMC would consider as they consider what to do with rates. But this is the lowest level since 2020. And if you take Q1 2020, which is such an odd quarter to compare anything to, it's almost unreasonable. We're at the lowest level of new apartments filling up in the last 12 years, at 47% in the first 3 months of completion. In 21 quarter 3, 74% were just getting soaked up. And we're seeing more new apartments come online right now. Fastest rate we've ever seen. So this number could go even lower. Okay. Here they are. There's a lot of new apartments that are hitting the market. This is according to Redfin. All these charts will be available for everybody inside of BAMX to make it easy for you. Here are the multifamily completions the last couple of years, more than at any point in the previous 12. We're building more of these apartments than ever before. They're being completed now because a lot of developers went and got that free money. That 2%, 3%, 4% interest rate to go build this product. They'll have a little trouble selling it for what they need to get for it, because now you're financing it on today's terms. But to go start the project, the money was cheap. Went out and built these beautiful buildings in a lot of these cities, these new apartment buildings, and they exceeded any rate of doing so in the last 12 years. So we have an abundance now of apartments. It's one of the arguments that shelter inflation isn't as high right now as the data shows it to be, as the CPI shows it to be, because CPI is such lagging data. It could be 6, 12 months out. A lot of times 12 months out. Small newly built apartments see rent prices falling the fastest. Small newly built apartments. Okay, so 1 bedroom, studio, falling the fastest. But 2 bedroom and 3 bedroom are both falling as well. Now we know rents are always going to go up in the long term, just as home prices are. But this is also a number that every wannabe beginner investor needs to understand right now. Rent prices are currently flattening or even going down. So if you're buying on today's rate and you're buying on today's prices, and you're doing it because you watched a TikTok clip about cash flow, you're going to be out of money in about 12 months. There's no cash flow in these properties. Rents are going down. Interest is high. Home prices are high. Cash flow doesn't exist on a lot of these rents that are being purchased today. If I'm advising an investor right now on a purchase, we're talking all about, is this an appreciation play? Especially in the lower units. If you got lower number of units, it better be appreciation play. So we better be talking location first. Builders aren't prioritizing large apartments, multifamily completions by number of bedrooms. So they're building more 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms versus studios and 3 bedroom plus. A lot of 1 bedrooms. So builders are prioritizing these 1 bedroom units. Okay. There you go. All right. There's some of your data there. And Jerome Powell will be speaking today. I don't think he'll be reacting to any of that, but he will be speaking today, and we'll be reacting to his thoughts tomorrow, of course, especially if it relates to anything in the housing industry. All right. Renters right now. Renters must earn $66,000 plus to afford the typical U.S. apartment. Typical renter makes $11,000 less than that. U.S. renters must earn the $66,000. This is up from $64,000 in just February, $64,000 in January, down from $68,000 in July of 22, $68,000 in August of 22. Seems odd that you'd see this number and then builders want to make more one bedrooms. You know, if that's the case, that typical renter's making $11,000 less, well, wouldn't you make two bedrooms so people could split it? Makes sense to me, but that's not where the builders are going. It's very also expensive to build more bedrooms on these units, and they're trying to squeak every bit of cash flow out of these buildings that they can. Wage growth is outpacing rent growth. Median asking rent right now, growth up 0.8%, but wage growth is up 5.3%. Okay, obviously not the case in 21, 22, but this is the case now. Year over year change in median asking rent and wages outpacing that of the rent growth. Here's the income required to afford a median priced apartment in New York. It's $119,000. Miami, it's $100,000. Boston, it's $113,000. LA, $112,000, and Riverside, California, $92,000. The estimated median renter income is less than that in all of those areas. Median asking rent in New York is $3,000. Miami, $2,500. Boston, $2,800. LA, $2,800. And Riverside, California, $2,300. Typical renter earns enough to afford median price points in just 5 metros analyzed. Out of the Redfin major metros, a typical renter earns enough to afford, just as a solo, in just 5 markets. That's Austin, Houston, Phoenix, DC, where the estimated median renter household income is $85,000 there, and Dallas. Okay, so Austin, Houston, Phoenix, Dallas, Sunbelt, DC. You have a higher income earner in DC, probably based off of all of your money watching this, all your tax money that goes to a whole bunch of those earners, bureaucrats, whatever you want to call them. Asking rents drop in Austin, but rebound nationally. Okay, Austin down 7.2%. You've had a lot of this new development in Austin, and nationally up 0.8% after having dropped the previous year, really. Yeah, from April of 23 to April of 24, you saw rents dropping. Now Redfin reporting up 0.8% as you look at it in year-over-year change in May. Austin really on a downward trend on rents since 2021, December of 2021. So really since 22 have continued to fall there. Here are some metros, some other metros of note. You've got Atlanta, income required, $63,000. Baltimore, $64,000. Charlotte, you've got $60,000. Year-over-year change in median asking rent in Charlotte, down 4%. Chicago, $70,000, and the median asking rent's up 10%. LA, again, $112,000, down 2.6%. Philly, $78,000, up 2.5%. Tampa, $70,000, and it's down 5%. Tampa's had a lot of new construction there as well. Something else that remains up the last couple days is the 10-year Treasury. Down actually a little bit today from where it was. 5-day trend is certainly trending up on the 10-year. I mentioned yesterday, based on that, we'd probably see a 30-year coming in at about 7.15. It came in at 7.14. So unfortunately, I was right on yesterday's hot sheet. We were kind of living around the low 7 for a while. Now we're back up to 7.14. Don't expect much movement there, just based on where I see the 10-year. Maybe a tick down, but probably going to hang above 7 1/10 here for the next day anyways, unless we get movement on the 10-year. All right. There's your hot sheet for today. Love for you to consider hitting the like and sharing the hot sheet with somebody who can benefit on a 24-hour look back on all things housing. If you want to benefit your summer business, come to BAM Barbecue. It's a free virtual event on July 17th. Haley will put the link here in the live chat. We'll also make sure that it's in the replay video. BAM Barbecue, Wednesday, July 17th from 12 to 3. If you've been to one of our BAM virtual events in the past, you know these are highly produced. You've never been to a virtual event in real estate like a BAM virtual event. And if you haven't been to one, you got to come to BAM Barbecue. So make sure that you sign up. We've got one of my longtime friends, Sam DiBianchi. She was the first female ever on $1 Million Listing in Miami. She's featured on Fox Business and CNBC and these types of things all the time. She's a brilliant broker. She's going to talk. We're going to do a fireside and state of the housing market. Luca Cree, who is a marketing genius. He's going to talk about converting leads with Facebook advertising, specifically right now, what's working right now in Facebook ads. So if you're looking to create more leads, more ads, Chris Smith talking about the science of sales and exactly what to say. Chris Smith joining the BAM Barbecue, as well as Tom Toole talking about time management, Paige Steckling on listing videos and how to actually get them to convert. Myself, Eric, the broke agent, and actually agents are all going to be part of that as well. So BAM Barbecue, sign up, free virtual event, Wednesday, July 17th, 12 to 3. Hope to see you there, and I will see you back here. Actually, I'll see you on the main channel here later today with a new Real Word pod. We have a Real Word going up this week, and then I will see you guys back in the morning on the hot sheet. Until then, of course, toodaloo.